The hypothesis for our original experiment was to see if people are better at identifying facial expressions that convey fear after watching a scary video. We were using the Dartmouth database of children's faces, and each quiz they took conveyed of 20 questions. So they had to go on a Google form, take the quiz, which was about 2 minutes long. Then after that, they had to go to YouTube and watch the scary video that we selected for them, which was also about 2 minutes. And then they had to go back to the Google form to retake the quiz to see if their results changed. The participants of this study were a convenient sample. There was 21 students that were part of the study who are also enrolled in the summer 2021 session of Psych 380 at St. Cloud State University. For this experiment, it was concluded that the demographic information was irrelevant for the purpose of this study. The result of the original study was that the results were not statistically significant. So after watching the fearful video, they could not identify the fear expressions better than the other expressions. So the for what I did for the third lab, what I tweaked was having, and I would have, instead of them watching a fearful video, I would have them watch, or not watch, go through a haunted house with like an EEG machine on, just so it was more in depth to their brain. Because I feel like watching the video, when I watched it, it wasn't as scary. So I feel like the results wouldn't have, made a difference. So it would also be, the age group of students would be college kids, the convenient sample at St. Cloud State if possible. And I would also expand on the quiz because having 20 questions, what the data wasn't enough for it. So I think 40 questions for the quiz would be a better result for seeing if the fear stimuli would make a difference. Um, the hypothesis for this lab would been if the participants identify fear better after going through a haunted house than just seeing a video. I would get these results. I would put them in a chi-square in SPSS, and I would average out the scores and percentages like we did in the first one. And I would assume the results would be the same though, because I don't think that um, having um, I don't think people would identify fear better if they were like submerged in that stimuli. I just think we can just recognize facial expressions equally from what I've learned throughout this course. So even if I did redo this experiment with all the money and I could get, I feel like it would have similar results. So that's why when I did my results, I put it as kind of similar to the other ones. So I feel like there wouldn't be much difference. And I would be very surprised if there was a difference in results that the fear stimuli would increase them to identifying the fear expressions during when they were taking the quizzes. So when I the results that I put for the SPSS came out to be 0.221, which is not significantly statistical. So, which means that even though they did all the went into the house, if they went into a haunted house, there would be no change between a video or them being more fully submerged into that environment. And I would also have them where, like I said, where like a EEG machine, just to see if maybe that would, maybe change my mind about the results too, to see the brain waves during fear and see how that would change from just their regular state and to when they are getting scared or feeling scared. And then I would also have them wear that when they do, not when they do the quiz the first time, but the second time, just to see what the brainwaves will still be like after, a couple minutes of the fear stimuli going away from them. Um, I concluded that um, you can't identify fear better, even though if you have, better fear stimuli. I think that the participants are just as likely to identify fear as the other facial expressions. I think some limitations for this experiment is that I don't really know a lot about how the brain or the amygdala responds to fear. So I think I would probably need to do a lot more research to maybe change my experiment even more, to maybe not to be like to have fear expressions, but to see if just to see how the brain would react under just the fear stimuli with the EEG to see, like, I would calculate maybe the different brain waves between the before and after of the video or them being surrounded by scary objects. I think that would be a better lab than having the facial expressions if I had the money to do it. And I would probably also, the limitations would be the age group. I'd probably have different age groups than just one age. I probably have teens and a little like elderly, almost like into their 40s or 50s. I think that also would make a difference because their brains are kind of wired a little differently when they get older.